Good evening, everybody. I have seen the CSI, the slides that were going on when I came here. I think before I came itself, Survey of India is included in your program also to some extent. Like in Hindi it is written, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, which means Sarve Jana Sukhina Bhavantu. Okay? Sarve Jana, we are Sarve people. So probably you have heard us like that. And then before I go to my presentation, I would like to say a few lines here. Firstly, I had the opportunity to hear the earlier speaker, Mr. YSR, I think Swarna Subba Rao, I think. Okay. And frankly, it was sort of an educative thing for me, because these days, for the past 2 decades, I would say, even Survey of India, we have been dragged into the field of IT. We are also doing a lot of work related to IT. But still, with all that, with whatever the experience I had, my officers had, we had a very good team. We made a lot of programs in our future programs. We brought in a lot of component. But with what I heard in the last 10 minutes, I think still there is a lot of scope and there is enormous opportunities in the field of GIS technology also. Okay. And then the smartphones also, the way the smartphones are going up, the usage of smartphones, I think that is another element where I see a lot of opportunities in the survey field as well. Okay. Now, you may find this as a very basic one, my presentation, but I think I try to touch the basics and then slowly I treat it as a background work. Okay. Please, the next one. See, first thing is that information is power. This, I think, we realized, the entire world realized, and we realized it very, very early. If I see a lot of young people here, I don't know how many of you read Mahabharata in a proper way. If you have read Mahabharata, in that, there is one scene, one particular stage of Mahabharata, where before the Kurukshetra war, Lord Krishna is sent as a emissary to make peace between the two parties. Okay, at that particular stage, a lot of conversation takes place, a lot of opinions are expressed by all the 5 Pandavas. Some 1 or 2 Dharmaraj wants to have peace, the others they don't want to have peace. All this happens, and then before conclusion, before Krishna speaks, it is almost concluded that there is no peace that is going to happen. Still, Lord Krishna's dialogue at that particular stage is that he says, Ainanu poi ravale Hastinaku. Still I have to go to Hastinapur. And the reason is, Achatas Sandhi Mata Etlunnano, whether the peace happens or not, still, Edari Rajula Bala Balamulu Chudagavachu. I can see the strengths of the other enemy kings. And then I can clear your doubts about that. What indirectly or directly the Lord Krishna was telling the Pandavas is that his trip to Hastinapur at that stage is to gather information about the enemy camp. See, this is the power of information, which I think we recognized long ago. The next, probably which some of you might have heard about the person who realized the value of information is Chanakya. Chanakya is one of the stalwarts in the Indian history who encouraged the system of spies to collect the information about the enemy camp. That is the power of information. And coupled with this power is the technology that made it the IT, and I think, in my opinion, today it is creating lot many wonders. Shall we go to the next one? Yeah. If you see the governance and the functions, earlier governments and all, if you go into the history, earlier periods, like we had the kingdoms everywhere, where everything belonged to king. So there was no problem at all. Whatever the king said, it was all right. And the kings also, since everything belonged to him, he never was greedy. He could attend to his functions very well and all. The next They had the idea of expanding kingdoms. They always wanted to acquire more land, more and more. They wanted, territory. So, and the second duty of the king was also to look after the welfare of the people. Here, in that area also, in that era, like one of the, if you see the Mughal dynasty also, there also they have realized the power of information, and they made sufficient arrangements. They created systems to collect the information. The next comes the modern era, where we have today different forms of governments. We have democratic governments. Communist government was also there. Probably in one or two countries still we have. And then somewhere we have the dictatorships, etc. Change in thinking about the governance. This led to the changing in thinking of the governance altogether. Now, the duty of any government, all of you I think will agree, is that it is to take care of the development of the country, welfare of the people, and the security of the people. The next one, please. The major functions of any government or a public sector, any public sector unit that is raised, is an extension of the government arm. Say in the government scenario, say in the government system, there are certain stringent regulations which do not permit easy functioning. In such a scenario, the government generally creates some public sector sub-sector units, like generally we can call them undertakings also. And these units help the government to serve in a better way, in a more flexible way. The major functions of the government today are, number one is services to the people. The government is expected to deliver you the services, and then it is expected to create infrastructure, develop the country by way of creating more infrastructure, more facilities, more, bringing up the culture, education, etc., etc. And then the government is also expected to encourage the community activities in a proper way. And then it is expected to preserve and promote the culture. And then the foremost, the most important one of the functions of the government is to look after the safety of the people by maintaining the law and order. Okay, next please. And then to attend to all these functions, certainly the government has to spend some money. How the money comes in, all of you know, it is through the revenue generation. And then, like there are many, many taxes we pay, direct taxes, indirect taxes, all of us are aware of that. And then, after all this money is collected, there is a systemized mechanism through which the government spends it again on the people. Like we have the system of budget, we have so many government bodies, you know, the planning commission, which is going to be sort of now dismantled now, but it has served the country for a very, very long time in predicting the country's needs, their, the expense to meet that need, how to generate the money for that, all these kinds of things, the various arms of the government, they take care of that. It is a regular procedure. It is a very institutionalized mechanism. It continuously goes on and on. Now, as I said, the next one is planning. All these things, the government has various wings, and it keeps on going on. Then, the coordination and control. All these arms of the government, they should have proper coordination and control over them. Right, next please. Now comes the role of IT. Earlier also we had a mechanism for all this. For the past, I think 60 plus years we have been independent. The country has been progressing. There is no doubt in that. But today, the scope for the rapid development is much more. The reasons are, one of the very strong reasons I see is the development of IT and the role that IT can play in all these functions that just now I have mentioned in the governance. Like how it is possible is that now today we have the opportunity to have the complete data or information availability of everything that is there in the country. Today, we have one of the major exercises of the government, one of the very big initiatives of Government of India is the National GIS, NGIS. That is like a big data of the country, where we propose to put the data of all the government departments of, Government of India into one particular database in one uniform fashion, uniform format, I would say. And then from Survey of India, I am expected to put in the geospatial data also. All this is going to be in a huge, form a very huge database, and then like it is going to be in one particular format, and everybody is going to use the same database. The advantages and disadvantages, I'll tell you in due course. The next is the ease in data analysis facilitates facilitates decision based on rationale. Earlier also, we had data. I remember I did MTech in 81. In 81, to do the planning of a small Telangana region, transportation planning we have done. To do that, we used to have several registers. I used to get the data from the field, fill it up in various tabular columns in several registers, consolidate it all into one register, then again bring it out. All these things used to be there. Like some of you who are of my generation, I would say, they may remember that even to work with the maps also, we used to put a map, put a tracing paper over that, start the map area, create a new layer, and do that. These things, not only they used to take enormous time, they had a lot of limitations also, which today we do not have because of the computerization and the IT enablement. Like again, the easy data analysis, availability of easy data and analysis of it, it leads to these kind of exercises, better coordination. Like mines, we have n number of mines in the country, enormous wealth we have in the mining sector. Now, how these mines are supposed to function? Like what is the need? Okay, earlier also we used to predict in a very gross way, saying that we need so much of quantity of like steel or something like that. Then the mines were given license, they used to produce, and then we used to consume it. If something excess is there, postpone it to the next year. Otherwise, if there is a shortage, try to produce more. This used to be the case. Similarly, now the country is going to have a very big problem in the next few months or maybe the next year, but a lot of exercises are going on about the coal. Like across the country, we know we are running power shortage. Every state is reporting a shortage. Everybody is looking at the other man to buy the power. And where do we get it? And you know the coal mining is in a slight mess now. Now they are trying to sort it out so that the coal comes into the, thermal stations at the right time. The thermal stations function properly, and next year by the summer time, we get power into our houses. This is also going on. Okay, earlier, the same exercise would have taken a Herculean effort, and the results would have been not as fine as that today we can get. The reason is, as I said, today the information, the data is available so easily. And then another role is in the governance with the IT is that identification of gap areas. Earlier, it used to be very, very difficult, whereas now we know instantly where there is a gap, and immediately that is filled with the appropriate agency. Then all this, like now you have all the appropriate data and you have excellent softwares. It is very easy today that getting a proper software, I think, is the easiest thing. You want any software to be customized or a tailor-made software, I think it is not that difficult. With this kind of facilities that are available today, we can come out with very good decision support systems. In the sense, if somebody wants to make a decision, today he can go through his the database, that he can analyze the data and come out and say that my decision to say yes or no is based on these facts. That kind of facilities is available today. Evolving good evaluation and monitoring systems. This also leads to once a decision is made, at the implementation stage, regularly we have to have a monitoring mechanism. Earlier also it was done, but earlier, I'll tell you from my own department, Survey of India, we run the field every year. Every year, for 6 months in a year, my people spend their lives in the field, collecting data in a hard copy format that is known as a map. The mechanism we had to have an evaluation of my people was that they used to send it in the form of a map to me. A map used to come of the working area where they used to color, saying that in the month of January, they used to fill it with blue. In the month of February, maybe green. Next month, another color. That is how I used to see the progress in the field. Today, I can straight away quantize that in what I say. If I have one bar chart or a pie diagram on my laptop, straight away everything is available to me. So this kind of evaluation and monitoring also is very, very easy. The monitoring mechanism today, we are initiating a very big project across the country of producing the entire mapping on 1:10,000 scale, where 1,20,000 maps are involved. And across the country, there will be few thousands of people working. Okay? And the progress has to be monitored on a daily basis today. For that also, now totally we have come out with a software which gives some kind of mechanism is there. They call it a dashboard system on which I can see what is happening everywhere and monitor the project. The next one, please. Now, as I have been introduced, I am with Survey of India, and probably many of you may not be knowing that Survey of India is the oldest department of Government of India. We are 247 years old. By 1st January, we'll be completing 247 years old, 247 years. This was started by the East India Company, and then, East India Company, and then it was transferred to the British, and then finally to Government of India. Now we are with Government of India and the Department of Science and Technology. Now, so far, we have produced the mapping of the country. We have covered the entire thing. And earlier, we used to produce all this in a hard copy format. All of you in the schools, you might have seen a map in the hard copy format only. Today, I am very happy to say that we have completely digitized all our maps. All the mapping of the country is available in the digital form, in the digital environment. And now, earlier, it was maps, hard copy maps. Then subsequently, around 80s, we started getting the satellite imagery, which we are using extensively today for mapping. Earlier, even the imagery was also most of the time in hard copy. Then came the digital environment, came the computerization in a very heavy way. And now, today, the satellite imagery or the map, it is created in the soft copy format, and this is what is known as the geospatial data. The advantage of this is that this data can be integrated with any non-spatial data using GIS technology. Non-spatial data in the sense, I'll explain it here. Say you have the data, you want to do some exercise in urban planning. You have the data of the city. What kind of, you have the location of all the factories, etc. And then what you do is, you take the map in digital form, link that data to that particular location. And then, with this kind of facility, it is very, very easy to do the analysis. Like, say for instance, if we put the drainage system, the drainage network of, let us say, one city, Hyderabad, we put it on the map in a digital form, and then all the house locations are there, all the apartments, etc., that are there. Now, I can calculate the volumes that are flowing through that. When a new apartment or something is coming up, it is very, very simple for the city planner to check its impact on the entire drainage system. Earlier, to do this particular exercise, it would have taken few days. Earlier, I remember, I have done the survey, parking survey for Hyderabad in one of the corridors. It took more than 2 to 3 weeks. And today, the same analysis, using the software and the geospatial technology, it is possible to complete it in probably in 2 or 3 days' time. This kind of, facilities are available now. No, one. Now, in all the exercises of the government, like whether they render a service, whether they go for developing an infrastructure, creating a new infrastructure, or a facility like a project or a factory or something like that, the location plays a very major and vital role. Okay, you want to locate, say for instance, you want to locate something like a fisheries institute. You have to have a pond nearby that. Okay, this data, you can get it from the map. The beauty of the geospatial technology is that we give the map, completely giving all this kind of data, and then whatever the non-spatial data that you have, you integrate it with it, you can come out with these kind of solutions very, very easily. Like one of the examples I can give you in Hyderabad itself, long ago, this was used in a very crude format. Some, supermarket, they wanted to open a chain of supermarkets in Hyderabad. Nowadays, they are not there. It was Spencer's, I think. Earlier, it was in the name of Spencer's. Later, they changed the name. They got in touch with one consultant who has done the work in GIS. What he did was, he mapped the entire area of entire Hyderabad, and then onto that, he collected the household income of the people. He didn't even go to the household. Also, he didn't enter any household. He sent some boys on bicycles. They went around, they saw the house, they estimated, seeing that this household has say monthly 50,000 rupees in income, the other one 30,000, something like this. Then they mapped all that. During the analysis, say this particular store, if you have a mechanism, a supermarket like a Spencer, they have a target group. The target group has a profile. See, to match that profile, you need certain data. That is the field data. That is what the non-spatial data or the attribute data is there. If you give me that attribute data and the location from which it has come, I can link both of them in the GIS. Okay? This is what this gentleman has done. He has linked all that. Now, let us say the Spencer wanted to locate their store in an area where the people with 30,000 rupees a month, maximum number of them are there. In one shot, in the map,